Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Today we're going to be talking about rational exponents and radical functions. You're going to need your notebook, pen or pencil, and calculator, please. All right, you're going to have to write this down for me right away, okay? We're going to have new notation. We're going to have radical versus rational exponents. So this one right here, this is a radical. We have our radical. We have our radicand, that's what is underneath it, and then we have our index, which declares what power we're going to be going to. Then on the other hand, we have our rational exponents, which is a number brought to a power of a fraction. Okay? Make sure we get this one down in our notes. This is called a rational exponent. This one we do not need to have in our notes, okay? I'm just going to go through these with you. How are roots related to functions, so the rational powers? So if I would type in 25 to the 1/2 power in my calculator, I'm going to get the answer of 5. Then if I take in 36 to the 1/2 power, I would get 6. 49 to the 1/2 power, I'm going to get 7. And 64 to the 1/2 power, I'm going to get 8. You might be seeing a pattern here. We're going to talk about it in just a second. We're also going to see what happens when we take it to the 1/3 power. So if I take 8 to the 1/3 power, I'm going to get 2. If I take 64 to the 1/3 power, I'm going to get 4. So here's our connection, ladies and gentlemen. This slide we have to write down, okay? How are rational exponents related to radicals? So rational exponent would be like x to the 1/2, which means the same as taking the square root of a number. So if we write this as a radical, it will be written as the square root of x. Now we can say the same thing about the rational exponent x to the 1/3, which means we're going to be taking the cube root of that number. And to write cubed root, we're going to have the same square root, but we're going to put a 3 right here. So the third root instead of the square root. And we can continue on. If I said x to the 1/4, that means we're going to take the fourth root. And the way we're going to write that is same thing here, x, but we're going to put it to the fourth. Okay, we can do this for any number. We can take x to the 1/9, which would be the 9th root, so on and so forth. Okay, make sure we get this whole table written down in our notes, please. Now, if we see something that looks like this is going to look a little bit different. This is 8 to the 2/3 power. We no longer have just the 1/3, the 1/4. We're putting a number on top. So we are going to learn how to change forms from radical to rational exponents, to and from. Make sure we get all of this written down, please. The radical form has a radical sign, so the root sign. The rational exponent form has an exponent that can be rewritten as a fraction. So if we start here, if I am starting to go either direction with this, if I'm given this, I'm going to separate it. So I'm going to take whatever is here, and I'm just going to put it on the outside and replace it with a 1. Then I can take whatever my 1 to the nth power is, rewrite it as this, and then that m is going to stay on the outside. Okay, make sure we get this in our notes. We're going to be working both ways for how to rewrite these, okay? Alright, now here we're going to rewrite these expressions using radical notation. So for this first one, number 1, by the way, make sure you get all these examples in your notes, please. This first one, we're just going to the 1/2 power, so that's just going to be the square root. So I'm just going to rewrite this as the square root of 7. The second one we have to think a little bit more about. First thing we have to do is we have to rewrite this. So we're going to rewrite it as 4. Now, this is going to be moved to the outside. So that's going to go here. And then we're going to keep our 3, and we're just going to put a 1 on top. Now when we rewrite this fully, this right here means the cube root of 4. So I'll start with the cube root of 4, keep my parentheses, and then it's going to be the 4th power. We'll do the same thing for this one. We're going to rewrite it. So it's going to be 2 to the 1/3 because it stays, and then we're going to take this out to the 5th power. We're just taking the power out. So we rewrite this again. It's going to be 2 to the 3rd root and all of this to the 5th power. Okay? Let's try this one. Rewrite it. So it's going to be 7 to the 1/3. All of that to the 4th power. So the 1/3 power means the cube root. So we're going to take the cube root of 7, and this is all goes to the 4th power. For number 5, we're going to do the exact same thing. Rewrite this as 6 to the 1/2 power, and all of this is going to be cubed. So 1/2 is representing the square root, so we're going to take the square root of 6, and then the square root of 6 is going to be taken to the 3rd power. And our last one here is 2 to the 1/6. Well, since we have that 1 here, we can just automatically take it the 6th root of 2. Alright, so that's how we rewrite these expressions into rational notation. Now we're going to rewrite using rational exponent notation. So now we're going to work our other way. We're going to work backwards, okay? So if we start with this one, this right here means the square root, which means to the 1/2 power. So it's going to be 10 to the 1/2 power cubed. And now to bring in our cube there, we take 1 times 3, which is just 3, so it's going to be 10 to the 3rd halves. There's our answer. Can do the same thing for this one. We have the 6th root of 2, so that can be written as 2 to the 1/6. Come over to this one, we're going to do the same thing. This is 2 to the 4th root, so we rewrite this as 2 to the 1/4. To the 5th power, now we put that 5 back in there. 1 times 5 is 5, so it's 2 to the 5/4. Alright, we'll come down to this one. We have the cube root of 2, so it's going to be 2. Cube root translates to the 1/3 power. On this one, we have the 6th root of 10, so we're just going to say 10 to the 1/6. 1/6 and the 6th root are the same thing. And then our last one here, we have a cube root of 10 to the 7th power. So the cube root of 10 can be rewritten as 10 to the 1/3 power. All of that to the 7th power. Now we're going to take 7 times the 1/3. So I'm going to get 10 to the 7/3 power. That's how we rewrite these ones. Alright, we have 2 more things for you to get written down. We're going to evaluate how we find with our calculator. So we can type these into our calculator. We can take the cubed root of -8. Now if you're not sure where this is at on your calculator when you're taking cube roots or 4th roots or anything like that, if you have a calculator that looks like this, you're going to be pushing the 2nd button, and then you're going to be pushing this button right here. Okay, and you're going to, so you're going to push 3 to the 2nd, that button, and then you put -8. Now if we type that into our calculator, we're going to get -2. You can also use, if you have your smartphone and you have this calculator on it, you are more than welcome to use this. When we use this one, you're going to be using this button right here. So you would type in 4, and then this, and then to the 625, we type that into our calculator, and that is going to equal 5. So that's how you do it with the roots. You can also, ladies and gentlemen, plug it in your calculator using exponent form. So all you're going to do is type in 256 to the 1/4 power. Make sure you use parentheses when you do this, okay, when you put in the 1/4. And that's just going to equal 4. And 32 to the 1/5, if you type that into your calculator, that will equal 2. So I want you guys to please make sure that you know how to use your calculator. So try a few of those on your own. Make sure you match up with what I got. And that's all I have for you today. I hope you guys have a wonderful day, and I will be seeing you soon. Bye.